Hello there and welcome to another BoBeats video, and today we're gonna explore this beautiful analog multi-effect. It's called the Dust Collector. It's from Finegear. It has 5 different analog effects, an actual spring tank, and the best part is that it's actually under $500 or euros, which is very competitive. And it's not every day that I get all excited about an effects unit, but this one has something special going for it, so we're gonna check it out. And yeah, I hope you enjoy today's video. And today's review is sponsored by DistroKid, an excellent way to upload your music to Spotify and iTunes, so go and check them out at the link in the description. In the box there's the unit itself, and it has this very beige color, and I would have loved the option for a black or red version as well. There's a power adapter, and the unit does have its own dedicated on-off switch. There's also a printed manual which explains pretty much everything you need to know, and there's also a poster. The unit itself contains 5 effects, 2 tape saturators, which are analog and not actual tape, a spring reverb with an actual spring tank, an analog delay, and an analog phaser. All the effects are mono, and the 2 tape saturators can be used together for a stereo source. On the back of the unit we don't have a main input or output, instead we have individual mono inputs and outputs for the 5 effects, more about this later. The delay also has an insert point, which lets you insert any effect or signal into the delay's feedback loop. The Dust Collector also has 2 LFOs, which have 3 CV outputs each and 1 CV input, which controls the rate of the LFO, so you could for example modulate the rate of LFO 2 using LFO 1, and there's also CV inputs for some of the effects. The spring reverb, delay, and phaser have CV inputs, whereas the tape saturators have none. The LFOs also have 3 different waveforms, so you have sine wave, you have triangle, and square. Then there's the spring tank. You just loosen these 4 screws, and then you can lift off this little plastic cover and expose the actual springs of the spring reverb. And using your hands or some kind of tool, you can create some lovely spring reverb ASMR. And the switches are satisfyingly clicky. On the side you can also remove this in order to use light to control the phaser. What makes the Dust Collector unique is that you can use it either as 5 individual effects or patch them together in various configurations. You could, for example, take an instrument and input it into the tape saturation, then take the output into the reverb's output into the delay, and the delay's output into the phaser, and then record the output from the phaser. Or you could treat the effects as individual effects for different instruments. It's your choice. You can combine them in any way you want. So the obvious way of using this effect is to use it with one instrument, and here I'm using it with the Minilogue, the original one, because it has this old school vibe that I think will fit nicely. I think it's beautiful, taking the harsher tones of the Minilogue and making it more mellow. And here are some more Minilogue examples, and other synths are coming up as well. Next up, let's patch it up and we'll start with the spring reverb. The spring reverb has its own tone control, which is basically a filter that filters out higher frequencies. You can also use the LFOs or any CV for that matter to control the VCA input and output, giving you this sort of tremolo sound. And using the before mentioned technique of using LFO1 to control the rate of LFO2, you can get this kind of tremolo effect that varies in speed. And next up, let's add some phaser. The phaser sports feedback control as well as control over depth, and you can select the source which you use to modulate it, being either the controls itself or LFO1 or LFO2. Next up, let's add some delay, and you of course have control over time and feedback as well as the madness switch. The madness switch instantly maxes out feedback in order to create really gritty build-ups. And using CV, you can modulate the time of the delay. Using this chain of effects can sound really nice on a drum loop actually. And while I don't think that playing with the springs of the spring reverb fits every style of music, it can be quite musical. Here's me with a brush. Now, if you get the dust collector and you make some lovely spring reverb ASMR, you have to release it somehow. And you can do that with today's sponsor, DistroKid. Here's 5 reasons to try out DistroKid. Firstly, you sign up for about $20 a year and you can upload unlimited amounts of music. Secondly, it's really quick and easy to upload. Basically, anyone can do it without any prior knowledge. 3, there are different tiers of subscriptions. So if you want to release your music under, say, different artist names, or if you're starting a label, DistroKid has an option for you. 4, DistroKid lets you upload to relevant stores and streaming services such as Spotify and iTunes, and it doesn't take long for the music to be available in the stores. 5, there's also the hyperfollow feature, which automatically creates a custom page where people can find out where to buy or listen to your music, and I personally really like this feature. So go and check out DistroKid using my link in the description. You get a little discount and you support the channel. Now let's talk about the tape saturation, which isn't actually tape but analog circuitry, which can be used as either 2 independent effects, or in a chain with other effects, or as a stereo tape saturator. What it does is adding saturation and compression to the sound, and there are 5 settings ranging from very subtle to more noticeable. It is, however, very difficult to actually hear this on YouTube because of YouTube video compression. So here's me running a track on Machine Plus through the tape saturation in stereo configuration, and what I'm hearing on my end is that the bass frequencies become a bit more accentuated and the music gets slightly more saturated, and to use a tired phrase, warmer. More compressed, and while it's nowhere near a budget option for, say, the analog heat, I do like it. To my ears on settings 1, 2 and 3 it adds a very gentle amount of saturation and compression, definitely usable on an entire track or say a drum bus. Settings 3 and 4 are more aggressive and noticeable, so more fitting for individual tracks or say a drum bus. And I of course had to try it with the Moog Subharmonicon. I would argue that the Dust Collector is like the polar opposite of something like the Zoia or Mod Duo X. Both are digital modular effects and offer a ton of options. The Dust Collector on the other hand is a very physical modular analog effects unit and is best thought of as multiple effects pedal in one box with added modulation options. So if you like the idea of hardware modular effects but you want something more physical, a bit more old school and gritty than say Zoia or Mod Duo X, then this is something for you. But you of course have to take into consideration that this is a mono effects unit and not stereo, so keep that in mind before purchase. So that's the Dust Collector from Finegear. I actually think that it's a very interesting effects unit. I think it's well worth the money, $500. I mean, if you're going out buying pedals, if you're buying 5 different pedals with a spring tank, I think that you'll easily end up above $500, at least if you want something analog. So definitely worth the money if this is a sound that you're after. So if you want to go and check out the Dust Collector, there's a link in the description. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get anything if you click the link, but I think that it's definitely an indie product, a product from a small manufacturer worth checking out and worth investigating if it's for you. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know if this is something you're excited about, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe because only like 30% of you watching are subscribed. So subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in another review. So bye-bye, and I'm gonna go and play with this.